Okay, sit yourself onto your left. Just come into a good cross-legged position. Just have a little wriggle about so that you're feeling evenly seated. Hold onto your knees and then elevate the heart area up to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. So I've had a few days off because I've had family, so I can immediately feel how much my body needs to stretch. So lift up into the heart area, elevating the sternum bone up to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. And focus on filling your lungs from the bottom to the top and emptying them from the top to the bottom. Just focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Just release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste. Lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. From your elbows into the heels of your hands, from the heels of your hands into the fingertips. And then allow your eyes to gently close. Just continuing to focus on filling the lungs up and emptying the lungs down. Just listening to the sound of your breath as it enters and as it exits. Gently draw your chin down to meet your chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin. And just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area, and then release the backs of your hands down onto your knees, palms facing upwards. Have the tips of the index finger connected to the tip of the thumb. Just gently lengthening the other fingers away from the palms of the hands. Just gesture and intention of wisdom and intelligence and peacefulness that we can carry into our practice. And then when you're ready, just raise your head and allow your eyes to softly open. Just hold onto your knees, elevate your heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose. And then turn to the right side, drawing your abdomen from the left to the right. Your ribs and your shoulders, just acknowledging any resistance. Just opening the chest, lifting the heart area, turning the chest. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left, drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat, and turn on an exhalation. And then come back to the center. Just sit yourself back onto your heels and then just allow your shins to rest into the floor. Allow your shins to mold themselves into the ground and lift the heart area upwards. Just observe whether your legs feel active or are they just passively pressing into the floor. So press the shins consciously into the skin so that the thighs come to life. Lift up into the heart area, keeping the seat bones down on your heels. Stretch your arms forwards and come into Adho Mukha Virasana, just stretching your arms away, bringing your forehead down. Just breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. Listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. And then bring your hands as wide apart as your mat. Come up onto your knees, turn your toes under, and then come up into dog down. Lengthening the seat bones up towards the ceiling, lengthening the tailbone up towards the ceiling. Keeping your legs straight by drawing the kneecap through to the back of the knee. Lifting the fronts of the thighs, the muscles up towards the tops of the legs, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards. Just listen to the sound of your breath. and step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position, grab a couple of blocks and come into half uttanasana. So have some blocks for your hands and then bring your feet as wide apart as your mat, turning your toes inwards. Have your hands on your hips, lift up into your chest. Take a deep inhalation in through the nose, squeezing the elbows behind you, and then hinge at the hips, coming down on an out breath. Reach down and find your blocks, bring the fingertips underneath your shoulders, and then elevate the tailbone and the seat bones up towards the ceiling, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Separating the abdomen from the tops of the thighs, but without pressing the tops of the thighs forwards. Hit the tops of the thighs towards the back of the room so that your weight drives itself into your heels, and then try and lengthen the abdomen away from the thighs. Bring the blocks down a little lower if you can, or if you're protecting your back, stay on the upper height. But as you come down, if you do come down, then observe how you change the action of the legs and the torso. So can you get better action when you're higher up, or does going down lower, if you can go down all the way to the floor, then do. But then again, how does that activate, or how does that affect the activation of the legs? Can you activate your thighs all the way up to the top of the leg, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, lifting the tailbone, lifting the seat bones, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. Breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations, listening to the breath. If you can reach around the backs of your heels, then do. I'm just being a little more cautious than that, just because my back has been in recovery mode for a while, but I can feel where it needs to be. And then bring your hands into your hips and then come up into a standing position. And then just move your blocks out of the way and come up into Tadasana, just elevating the heart area up to the ceiling. So just focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Lifting the heart area up to the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump your feet nice and wide for trikonasana. So lift up into the chest, turn your left toes in slightly, the right leg and foot all the way out. Just being mindful of lining that heel up with the instep or the toes of that back foot. And then consciously turn the legs outwards. Turn the legs outwards and bring the abdomen to face the front. So that bringing the abdomen to face the front is quite a contrary action to that turning of the leg, isn't it? But see if you can do both. Turn the inner leg out of that front leg and the abdomen from the right to the left. And then keep those actions as you reach over and find your shin, turning the abdomen up to face the ceiling, turning the thigh from the big toe side to the little toe side, reaching up into that top arm. Just feeling the stretch of the legs, of the hamstrings. Just look down at the foot. Is your head directly over the foot? Can you squeeze that front leg buttock bone forwards? Can you hit that back leg towards the wall behind you? And then look up again, breathing in through the nose if you can. Back to the center, swap everything around, do the mirror image. So you turn the fronts of the thighs outwards, turn the abdomen to face the front, stretch into the arms. And then on an out breath, come down into trikonasana, pushing that back foot firmly into the floor. Turning the abdomen, turning the thighs. Again, look down. Bring the head directly over the foot if it isn't. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, looking back up if you can. Stretching out the legs. And then reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, bring your feet parallel, and then step. Jump your feet back together, and then come back into Tadasana. Just spend a few moments just using your breath to bring your heart rate back down. Listen to the breath. Spread the toes of your left foot really deeply. If you can lift your shorts on that left side for vrksasana, then do. Spread the toes of that left foot, lift the right knee, and then bring the right foot up all the way into the top of the left thigh. You can always use something to help you to just steady yourself. And this time turn the leg like you're doing Tadasana, turn the standing leg inwards a little. Push the outer thigh of that standing leg inwards, squeeze that right foot in towards the thigh. And then just have your arms at the sides for a moment, just observing your balance. And then raise your arms. Ideally, have your hands shoulder width apart. I run out of ceiling height here a little, so I can't really have my arms apart, but I kind of have to adjust a little in order to do that. So lift up into the chest. Keep that standing thigh turning inwards, lifting up into the arms. Ideally arms parallel to each other, palms facing each other, palms spread. And then release your arms and then bring that right foot down. Just resetting in your Tadasana. So Tadasana legs are where you turn the thighs inwards and then you draw the tailbone in. So that action is really important for vrksasana. So see if you can get that action to occur on the other side. So just raise up the shorts of the right leg if you can. Really firm up that right foot. Find your balance really precisely before you even try and lift the other leg. And then with that right leg really firmly placed, see if you can bring the left foot up into the thigh. And then turn the thigh inwards. Activate the kneecap, turn the thigh inwards. Push the foot into the thigh into the foot. Have your hands at the sides. Just finding your equilibrium, lifting up into the chest. And then raise your arms, vrksasana arms ideally, if you can. Arms shoulder width apart. Elevating your arms up to the ceiling. Just breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. And emptying the lungs from the top to the bottom. And then release your arms. And then release your leg. Just come back into Tadasana, lift up into the chest. Just breathing even deep inhalations, just finding levelness in the feet. Lifting up into the heart area, lengthening the shoulders down into the fingertips. Lifting the heart area upwards. So there are many juxtapositions within our poses, aren't there? We're lifting the heart area upwards, but then lengthening the shoulders down into the fingertips. So there's this immediate tension between lift and the drop. But that is where we find our balance. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards your chest, and then step or jump. Go nice and wide with your legs, as wide apart as you can go. If you can, use the back of your mat to judge your alignment of your heels. So bring your heels in line with the edge of the mat. Turn the toes inwards, and then have your hands on your hips. Lift up into the chest for prasarita, padottanasana. So turn the legs inwards. So it's difficult at first, maybe, but as you lift up into the chest, hinge at the hips, then turning those fronts of the thighs inwards so that the seat bones lift away from the backs of the thighs. Perhaps that becomes a little easier. Reach down and find the floor. So rotate the legs, the fronts of the thighs from the little toe side to the big toe side. So then you can really elevate the seat bones and the tailbone up to the ceiling. And from there, lengthen the abdomen away from the tops of the legs. Abdomen up to the diaphragm, up to the collarbone. Try not to put too much weight in your hands. Hit your legs back so that your weight is in your heels. And then go light on the fingertips, projecting the chin and the chest forwards. If you can go down any lower, and bring your head down onto the floor. Or if you can't reach the floor with your head, put blocks underneath your head. Line the heels of your hands with the heels of your feet. Just breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. Filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Emptying them from the top to the bottom. And then come back to the halfway point, lengthening the chin and the chest forwards. Bring the heels of the hands down onto the floor, bend your knees, and then step or jump your feet back together, and then come back up into Tadasana, lifting up into the chest. Just being in Tadasana and then raising your arms high. So ideally, arms are shoulder width apart. Again, I kind of run out of ceiling height a little, so I need to bring my arms a little wider apart, but keep the arms straight. Lock the elbows, lengthen from the inner elbow into the heel of the hand. And then release your arms, and then just come down into a seated position. Just come into cross legs for a moment. So you'll need a belt and preferably a blanket. You might need that, and you might need a couple of blocks as well. So just have those handy for the poses we're about to do. So just be in cross legs to start off with, and just hold onto your knees and observe how perhaps if you roll onto the back edge of the seat bones, it encourages the back to round and your front chest to sink and your abdomen to kind of collapse in towards the spine. So hold onto your knees and roll yourself onto the front edge of the seat bones really consciously. And from the front edge of the seat bones, pick up the abdomen, lift the abdomen up to the diaphragm up to the collarbone, and then again just drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. So it's the coming forwards onto the front edge of the seat bones that really pays dividends for the extension of the spine. It's when we roll onto the back edge of the seat bones, so just roll off the seat bones again, just roll off the back edge of the seat bones so that the chest just naturally drops, and then roll back onto the front of the seat bones so that you can just lift up into the chest. So effectively it's the cat and the cow pose, isn't it, at the seat bones? And the more you come into that cow pose on the front edge of the seat bones, the more you can lift up into the chest. So this is an important definition for forward bending poses. So get your belt handy and then just stretch your legs out. So again, when you stretch your legs out, it gives you new challenges in the way that you sit upwards. Just roll over, move the buttock flesh out to the side, and then stretch your legs away. Have your big toes touching and your heels slightly apart if you can. Turn the legs inwards, have your hands at the sides of the hips, and then just determine where you are sitting on the seat bones. Just roll onto the back edge of the seat bones just so that you know what it feels like. So the more you roll off the seat bones, the more you'll sink in your chest. So roll onto the front edge of the seat bones. Press the hands into the floor and then lift up into the heart area. Grab your belt and throw the belt around your feet. So have it around the ball joint of your feet. Hold firmly, but not with a death grip. Try and avoid this kind of action, because that is kind of an aggressive action. So just hold on to the belt just lightly, and then push the feet into the floor, into the belt. Pull the belt towards you so that you roll onto the front edge of your seat bones. So you can lift up into the heart area. Keep the legs pressing down into the floor, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards, elevating the heart area up to the ceiling. Lifting up into the heart area, and then just a little bit at a time, see if you can come forward, remaining on the front edge of the seat bones and lifting the abdomen away from the tops of the thighs. just a little bit at a time. If you've got a bad back, just work with whatever your back can facilitate. Don't go too far forwards if it's straining your back. Just stay maybe even at the first stage. Just a little bit at a time. Maybe you can reach your feet. Lift up into the heart area. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Just listening to the sound of the breath as you gently draw the chin and the chest forwards. Just observing how your back is feeling right now. Keeping the legs firmly activated, pressing the kneecaps through to the backs of the knees. Lifting up into the heart area. And then come back to the center. Just have your hands at the sides of the hips. And then lift up into the chest. And then keep the right foot where it is. Bring the left leg out to the side. Like you're doing the tree pose, vrksasana again. So just move the foot up into the top of the thigh, and then hopefully you've still got the belt handy, so grab that and then cross it over just so that it stays in position. Now just before we come forwards, just observe what is going on with your pose. If this knee is up really high like this, then you need to give it some support with a block just at the head of the knee, just giving that head of the knee some support. But feel what's happened in the hips. When you bring this leg back, have you disturbed the hips? So just adjust the hips so that they're level with each other. Get hold of your belt again, just uncross it, and then push that right foot, the ball joint, right into the belt. Roll onto the front edge of the seat bones. Lift up into the chest. Drawing the abdomen from the left to the right so that your abdomen, it wants to kind of go here, doesn't it? So see if you can draw the left side of the abdomen across so that your abdomen is facing that right leg. Lift up into the chest for janu sirvasana. Rolling onto the front edge of the seat bone, keeping that front kneecap firmly moving into the floor. And then again, stay there if there are back problems, or if your back feels like it's not under any type of threat, then just gently come forwards just a little bit at a time until you can bring your body along the leg, but keep the head lifted. Keep the leg turning from the outside in, from the little toe side to the big toe side. If you can reach around the foot, then do, keeping your heart area lifted. Keeping the head lifted for as long as you can until the chest, the sternum area is in contact with the leg. And then at that stage, maybe bring the head down. So it's quite a deep, intense stretch across the back of the muscles of the back. It's a really good liver cleanser. So breathe into the pose, listen to the breath. Just focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. And then lift the head, come back to the center, just observing that quietness of the brain that comes from coming out of a forward bend, and then just stretch your legs out in front again. Just have the belt where you can still reach it, and then just roll onto the front edge of the seat bones, lifting up into the chest, bringing the feet together, turning the legs inwards. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And then Just bring the right leg out to the side, again supporting the head of the knee if you need to, keeping that left thigh rotating from the inside out, using the belt around the foot, and then just reset the seat bones. Just feel that the seat bones are level, lifting up into the heart area, activating that leg, and then just gently, a little bit at a time, as long as your back will permit, just gently coming forwards and up into the pose. I say up into the pose because we're lifting up, although we're kind of coming down. If you can reach around the leg, then do, keeping the thigh pressing into the floor, keeping the rotation of that leg from the little toe side to the big toe side. Coming forwards, driving the chin towards the foot. And then bring the head down if you can. But not at the expense of over bending the shoulder blade region. And then gently come back to the centre. Just stretch the legs out in front and then raise your chest up to the ceiling. Just rolling onto the front edge of the seat bones, lifting up into the heart area. And then just come into padottanasana, soles of the feet together. Hold on to the big toes if you can. If you can't, then just get hold of the shins or use a belt around the feet. Press the heels together. Lengthen the inner thighs into the inner knees around to the outer knees, staying on the front edge of the seat bones. And then again, if there's no problem with your back, or if your back will permit it, then hinge at the hips. But the hinging action has to come right from the hips, not from the head. So if you try and come forwards with the head, you're never going to get anywhere near forwards, and you'll hurt your back. So keep the heart area lifted as you gently stretch the chin, the chest, the abdomen away from the thighs. As you come forwards, bend in your elbows. If you can get your elbows into the inner thighs, encourage those inner thighs to roll out to the side. If you can release your feet, then do. But keep lifting up into the heart area. So konasana as a seated position, as a forward bend even. Lifting up into the heart area, stretching forwards, but being cautious of your back. You can always bring your hands onto blocks to keep the floor a little higher up for you if you need it. And then gently come back to the centre, and then just bring your feet into cross legs. Just roll onto the front edge of the seat bones, lift up into the heart area, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. Empty your lungs from the top to the bottom. And then with an exhalation, turn to the right side, staying on the front edge of your seat bones. If you find that you sink, then sit on a folded blanket or on some blocks. Turn your abdomen from the left to the right. Lifting your heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders across. And then come back to the centre. Lift up into the chest, elevating your heart area upwards, and then turn to the left side, drawing your abdomen across your ribs and your shoulders. And then gently come back to the centre. Just come off your seat bones and come down onto your back into supta padottanasana. So you can do this directly on the floor, just coming down onto your back. Have the feet together, the knees apart, and then just guide yourself down onto the floor, feeling the opening of your hips. Feeling the opening of the abdominal region and of the diaphragm region and of the chest. Just breathing even, deep inhalations and exhalations. Stretch your arms up to the ceiling, interlock the fingers right into the webbing of the hands, turn the palms all the way out. And then lengthen your arms along the floor. Keeping your arms straight while locking the outer elbows inwards. And then raise your arms, swap the interlock of the fingers. So the other index finger is on the top of the stack. Just get the hands right into the webbing and then turn your palms all the way up. And then lengthen your arms along the floor. Just feeling that openness of the bladder region and the pelvic region. Drawing the abdomen towards the spine, lengthening the abdomen from the belly button into the abdominal walls so that you soften the lumbar. And then release your hands, just rest your hands on your lower ribs. Just rest your hands on your lower ribs, just observing the feeling of expansion and contraction as you inhale and exhale. then just draw your knees together, have your knees together and your feet apart, just resting out your hips. And then draw your knees in toward your chest. Just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then hold on to the side edges of the mat. Really firmly press it, like pulling the mat apart, like you want to tear the mat apart. Pushing the hands away from the shoulders so that you come right onto the sacrum spine. And then elevate your legs up to the ceiling. Drawing the abdomen towards the spine, broadening the abdominal flesh into the abdominal walls. So just viparita karanhi, just a gentle inversion, but keep the arms really firmly activated, holding onto the mat like you want to tear it apart, lengthening the mat away from your shoulders so that your sacrum spine is flat into the floor. The tailbone remains down as you raise your legs. Breathe consciously from the bottom of the lungs to the top. And then bend your knees, bring your feet back down onto the floor. Just again, stay with your knees together, your feet apart for a moment, just resting out your back. And then draw your knees into your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then get a folded blanket for underneath your head. Just come up onto your elbows. Make sure you're laying in a really good straight line right down the centre of your mat. And then guide yourself down. If you're wearing glasses, it's nice to take them off. Just make sure you're in a good straight line and that you can stretch out without any restrictions. And then allow yourself to gently release into the floor. Feel that you can fill the lungs from the bottom to the top. Just allowing the body to release into the floor, just letting the limbs become heavy. Consciously relaxing the muscles of the arms and the legs. Just observe the feeling of lightness radiating from the bones into the muscles and into the organs. Okay, when you're ready, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, just bringing yourself back into this pose of shavasana. And then draw your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then gently roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then stretch out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. And then just come into cross legs with your hands in Namaste. Just a final spinal lift, drawing your breath in through your nose and down into the abdomen. Just be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice this morning, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the reclining poses and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside, and then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. Just connecting the tips of the index finger with the tip of the thumb. Just a gesture of wisdom and peacefulness we can carry with us into our day. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. So hopefully you feel as though you've really lifted your energy, given yourself a good stretch, and you've set yourself up for a good positive energy day. So thank you very much for joining me.